So today I am broadcasting to you from the tennis courts of the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, where I just finished having a very enjoyable time of tennis with a really good friend. And it got me thinking, as all of us go into this Labor Day weekend and we come out and do activities like this, some of you might be wondering what it's going to be like this weekend. You're thinking back to July 4 weekend, and maybe you walked away from that weekend with less joy and happiness than you've had during previous holiday weekends. And so I thought it'd be helpful for me to unpack with you today my experience on the tennis court during the pandemic. And hopefully you can take some of these takeaways, 3 takeaways, that could help you have a more enjoyable Labor Day weekend than otherwise might occur. So I've played tennis 2 other times during the pandemic, and the other 2 times were not enjoyable, I have to admit. And I actually walked off the court with some sadness. And as I reflect, I think what was going on the first time, it was another friend, and we hadn't seen each other during the sheltering, so it was the first time seeing each other, and we both had kind of a heaviness to us. And that was kind of felt during the match. And so with that heaviness, in the past, it had always been a carefree experience with him. All the other times we'd played, probably 50 times over the last 10 years, we loved tennis. And it just felt different. The second time, it wasn't the same. The courts were kind of deserted, and it was just like, this isn't the same, and those people over there have masks on, and it just doesn't feel the same. So what I've kind of landed on with all of this is that unfulfilled nostalgia leads to sadness and grief. I'll say that again because it's really important that that sinks in with you. Unfulfilled nostalgia leads to sadness and grief. So what happens is we go out to do an activity that we've done before prior to the pandemic, and we are beings that are nostalgic. We have nostalgia. We go in trying to recreate what's happened before. We go in thinking like, I had so much fun before, I'm going to have it again. And you have those feelings of nostalgia. This was just like that last time we had a barbecue. It was great. But that's not happening now because things are so different during the pandemic. So what can you do? Number 1 is to lower your expectations. So for example, today with my tennis match, I came in lowering my expectation. I might not win today. Like I usually always just whoop up on this friend. I usually beat him every single time. That might not happen today, and that's okay. I had a really intensely busy week at Expert Effect, and I'm a little tired, so I might not win. So if you go in with that lowered expectation, you can just go into the activity with a different mindset, and that just feels good. So I came in and it felt a lot better. Number 2 is you can focus on the upside rather than what's different. I'll give you an example. With my sheltering buddy, my wife Tiffany, we went out soon after the restaurants reopened, and again, there was nostalgia, like we get to go have dinner, we love having dinner and having date nights. But as we were outside, and then as soon as I walked inside to go to the restroom, I got sad. I saw these chairs stacked up, and the restaurant looked like desolate, and I had been in there before, and there wasn't lively, and it just looked sad. And so I walked away that night sad. So I should have just been focusing on the upside. Coming in, oh my gosh, I have a date night with my wife. This is incredible. Wow, look what they've done with the outside surroundings. This is cool, and we're outside, and this food is amazing. Just focus on the upside, and that can make the experience more enjoyable. Lastly, find a new activity. And then nostalgia doesn't even play into the equation. Another example with me and my wife, we have tried out drive-in movies. If you haven't done it, it's just so cool. And we had never done drive-ins in the history of our relationship. So it's a new experience. We don't have any nostalgia to go back on. And that's our new go-to. It's like, hey, we love drive-ins, and we just take it for what it is, and it feels awesome. And then the other upside of doing these 3 things, and I know a lot of you listening are people in high-performing roles because that's what we focus on at Expert Effect, and just helping people become more resilient to stress. And they're in a high-performing role, and their performance can't falter even during a pandemic. So what's cool about this is if you have this shift of how you approach activities, if you lower your expectations, if you focus on the upside, and if maybe you do a new activity in whatever high-performing role you're in, then your performance levels can improve. my tennis game was so much better today than it was the other 2 times because I showed up differently. So I hope that helps you, and I hope you have a really fun and enjoyable Labor Day weekend that's going to look different than any other Labor Day weekend, but you can still find joy in it.